Hey Reddit, how did you screw up today? Today I screwed up by throwing a steak at a window. My wife warned me, please just be normal tonight. That should have been the red flag. Anytime she prefaces a social event with just be normal, it means I'm either about to meet someone important or have already embarrassed her in some irreversible way. This time it was her boss. New job. Fancy apartment. One-on-one dinner invite. Stakes were high. Literally. Steak was involved. So there we are. Her boss is a 50-something woman, sharp as hell, smells like money and eucalyptus, the kind of woman who probably has a minimalist home gym and an air fryer she actually uses. I'm trying to behave. I even wore the itchy shirt. Conversation goes well. She laughs at my jokes. I'm not saying I'm charming, but I might have hit a solid B+ in charisma that night. Then the steak arrives. It's massive. Thick cut. A carnivore's dream. Except, mine is practically mooing. It's not rare. It's prehistoric. I like medium. This was flash it on the grill, whisper, heat, then serve. I cut into it and it twitched. I swear. It was practically still trying to graze. Now, I'm not one to make a fuss. I'm the guy who apologizes to the waiter when they mess up my order. So I smile, nod politely, and start considering my options. Lying about being vegan was out too late. I already cheered at the steak's arrival like a barbarian. Wife's boss excuses herself to the kitchen to get dessert. That's when I spot the open window across the room. Or what I think is an open window. In my panicked mind, a plan forms, chuck the meat. Eat it. One clean toss and I'll be steak-free, no one's the wiser. I grip the steak, give it a polite little shake to remove the juices, I'm not a monster, and with the poise of a man who's played a total of 4 games of Frisbee in his life, I launch it. Thunk. The window wasn't open. It was just really clean. The steak hits with a slap, sticks for a moment like a meaty Garfield plush and slowly slides down, leaving a trail of pink juice and regret. My wife turns to look. Her face goes from mildly pleased to I will murder you with cutlery in half a second. Her boss re-enters. Sees the crime scene. Looks at the window, the steak now half draped over the sill, looks at me, then at my empty plate. Silence. I open my mouth, but what can I say? Window illusion got me again? Performance art? Instead, I mutter, it was undercooked, like that explains anything. We left soon after. My wife hasn't spoken to me all day. I googled how to professionally apologize to someone you just meat-bombed, but no luck. So yeah, today I screwed up. And if anyone needs a barely touched steak, it's probably still out there. Window washed. Humiliated. Like me. Today I screwed up by proposing to my girlfriend and learning way too much. I'll admit it, I was nervous. Not about proposing, I'd rehearsed the speech in the mirror enough times to recite it backwards while sleepwalking. I was nervous because I cared. I wanted it to be perfect. Sunset, rooftop, fairy lights, one knee, trembling voice, all of it. And to my eternal credit, I nailed it. She cried. I cried. People on the rooftop clapped. I felt like I'd won an Oscar and a Nobel Prize at the same time. We went out to celebrate. Nothing too fancy, just us, a cozy booth, and a bottle, or 3, of champagne. That was my second mistake. The first was dating a girl who has no filter after 2 drinks. Somewhere between, I'm so happy and you're my best friend, she got sentimental. Then weirdly philosophical. Then, out of nowhere, she leaned across the table and whispered, you know, you're the first guy I've ever had to fake it with. Cue record scratch. I blink. Come again. She giggles. Like she just told me a fun fact about sea otters. I mean, not like every time, she says. Just most. But you're so sweet. You really try. I sit there, processing that I've apparently been starring in the world's saddest rom-com for a year and didn't even know it. But she's not done. And it's not your fault, she adds quickly. It's just my exes knew what to do. Like instinctively. And you, well, you have asthma and it's kind of a turnoff when someone wheezes during foreplay. I'm now 90% hollow inside, 10% cheesecake. But she barrels on. And I think it's brave of you. Like, most guys wouldn't even try with your, you know, average size. I didn't say anything. Mostly because my soul had detached from my body and was floating above the booth screaming into the void. She topped it all off with, but I love you for who you are, not for, like, what you can do in bed. Ah. Yes. The emotional participation trophy. Every man's dream. The next morning, I stared at the ring box on the dresser. Then at her, snoring peacefully like she hadn't just nuked my self-esteem into orbit. We had a long talk. Mostly her talking, me listening and blinking like someone just unplugged my brain. She eventually admitted she still had feelings for an ex. Not just any ex. The ex. The one she called Chad. I used to think that was just a nickname. Nope. Real name. And apparently real horsebull. Her words. We broke it off. I returned the ring, walked straight into GameStop and bought myself a PS5. The guy behind the counter said, "Congrats, man," and I almost cried. So yeah, today I screwed up. But hey, I've got 60 FPS and a girlfriend who only yells scripted voice lines. That's progress. Today I screwed up by babysitting and unleashing toilet Armageddon. So I agreed to babysit my little brother's piano students. 3 kids, ages 5, 7, and 9. Easy money, right? I'm 24, responsible-ish, and figured I could crush a few episodes of my show while the kids plinked away at chopsticks. Spoiler, I crushed nothing. Except my parents' plumbing. Here's the setup: my brother teaches part-time piano to neighborhood kids. My parents were out of town and my brother begged me to watch the kids for 2 hours while he gave them individual lessons. I said yes because he bribed me with his Netflix password. Rookie move. Everything was going fine. The boys were alternating lessons. The 9-year-old sister was quietly drawing in the living room. I was on the couch vibing. Then she walks up and says, "Can I use the bathroom?" "Sure," I say, pointing to the downstairs one. She thanks me like a little angel. About 5 minutes later, one of the boys goes, "She's been in there a long time." Cue ominous music. I knock. No answer. I knock again, louder. Still nothing. I'm about to unlock the door with the emergency coin thing when she opens it herself. Walks out calm as can be. Says I used the grown-up toilet paper, which in our house means the giant Costco roll that looks like it was meant for elephants. I go in to check, and that's when I see it. Mount Everest of tissue. Overflowing. Floating. There's also a small plastic toy submarine lodged right on top like a flag. I hit the flush button instinctively. Big mistake. The toilet growls. I kid you not. It sounded like a medieval beast was waking up. Water rises. Keeps rising. Then, like Old Faithful, explodes out the bowl. I shout for backup. My sister, 22, who had been upstairs, runs down and sees me trying to plunge while standing in ankle-deep, rapidly warming water. She screams. I scream. The kids scream. The toy submarine floats by mockingly. We manage to shut the water valve off, but the damage is done. Water seeped into the hallway carpet. The smell? Imagine if a swamp and a preschool had a baby. I call a plumber. $600 estimate. My parents come home that night to a soaked house and 3 traumatized kids reenacting Titanic with kitchen sponges. Now every time my mom sees me, she starts a sentence with, "Remember when you babysat that one time?" So yeah, today I screwed up. And every time I hear the flush of a toilet now, I flinch a little. Today I screwed up by letting my vegan girlfriend try chicken. So my girlfriend's been vegan for about 3 years. Not the aggressive lecture you in a steakhouse kind, more the "I'll just eat before we go out" variety. Chill, respectful, zero pressure. I admired that. But lately she'd been dropping hints. "I kinda miss the taste of meat," she said one night while smelling my bacon. Another time she stared wistfully at a rotisserie chicken like it owed her money. So I wasn't totally surprised when, during our anniversary dinner at this farm-to-table joint, she said, "You know what? I'm gonna try some chicken tonight." Now, I did hesitate. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Like, 100% sure?" She nodded, brave as a soldier about to storm a poultry battlefield. We ordered. I got steak. She got grilled chicken breast with roasted veggies. Everything looked amazing when it arrived. She cut a small piece, dipped it in sauce, and took a bite. And for half a second, I thought it was all going fine. Then her face went pale. Her eyes widened. And before I could ask if she was okay, she exploded. Like projectile vomit levels of exploded. Across the table. Onto the plate. Onto my hoodie. And worst of all, onto our poor server who had just walked up to ask how everything was tasting. Let me describe the moment in slow motion. A chicken chunk hit my sleeve. Another blob landed in my mashed potatoes. The server, bless his soul, didn't even flinch. Just slowly backed away like he'd walked into an exorcism mid-ritual. My girlfriend immediately covered her mouth and ran to the bathroom. I sat there stunned, dripping with regret and digestive rebellion. Other diners stared. One woman looked horrified. A kid at the next table whispered, "Cool?" Eventually, the manager came over with towels and a concerned look. I tried to explain. "She's vegan," I blurted. "She tried chicken. For love. We paid. We left." She was mortified and kept apologizing through hiccups. I told her it was fine, it wasn't her fault, but deep down I knew that hoodie was never going to be the same. Later, she said her stomach just couldn't handle it anymore. Something about the enzymes changing over time. I nodded like I understood science. All I really knew was that my dinner and my dignity had been baptized in poultry revenge. So yeah, today I screwed up. If anyone asks why I'm back on dating apps with a hoodie that smells faintly like lemon and sadness, now you know. Today I screwed up by roasting my boss in the wrong group chat. I need to preface this by saying I'm not a dumb guy. I work in data analysis, I can build macros in my sleep, and I once fixed a printer jam that 2 IT guys gave up on. But today I became the office cautionary tale. It all started when my boss, let's call him Todd, because of course it's Todd, sent out yet another painfully vague email with phrases like "circle back," "action items," and "we need to elevate the synergy." No instructions. No clarity. Just corporate poetry. Frustrated, I pulled out my phone and fired off a message to my work buddy Phil. Todd's email sounds like it was written by a magic 8-ball. I swear if he says "let's pivot" one more time, I'm pivoting out a window. Followed it up with, "I've had more meaningful conversations with my Roomba. And at least it follows directions." I hit send. And that's when I saw it. I didn't send it to Phil. I sent it to the team group chat. The one with Todd in it. Along with HR. And our senior director. And literally every person who outranks me. I stared at my phone like it had just turned into a grenade. Maybe if I throw it out the window, the problem goes with it? Within seconds, the scene by marks started popping up. Todd was the first. Then HR. Then the director. No one replied. You know what soul death feels like? It's the slow realization that your sarcastic rant has just become your performance review preview. I debated whether to follow up with "LOL wrong chat" or "hacked. I've been hacked," or just throw myself into the server closet and become a legend. Eventually, I went with, "Apologies everyone, meant to send that to a friend." Frustration talking. Totally unprofessional. I'll shut up and get back to work. Crickets. 4 hours later, Todd replied with just one sentence. "Let's circle back on this during your review next week. I don't know if it's a joke. I don't want to know. So yeah, today I screwed up. And if you need me, I'll be brushing up my resume and removing sarcasm from my vocabulary." Today I screwed up by inviting a stripper to the party and texting my pastor uncle instead. Look, in my defense, I was very drunk and trying to be a good best man. It was my buddy Chris's bachelor party. Low-key plan. Poker, pizza, whiskey, and a surprise guest for later in the evening. You know the kind. Chris is a straight-laced dude, so we weren't trying to go wild. Just enough to make him blush and question our judgment. I was in charge of coordinating said guest. I had her number saved under Angela Party in my phone. But earlier that week, my Aunt Karen texted me about family reunion plans and somehow got her husband's number on the same text thread. Her husband being Uncle Paul, who happens to be a pastor, who also has a Bluetooth Bible and a collection of world's best preacher mugs. At some point during the night, after about 4 shots too many, I decided to text Angela and ask her to show up an hour earlier than planned. What I meant to type, "Hey, can you come a little early? We're getting rowdy LOL." What I actually typed, "Hey Uncle Paul, can you come a little early? We're getting rowdy LOL." Send. I remember staring at the screen for a few seconds, wondering why it said Uncle Paul at the top. And then I sobered up faster than a narcoleptic skydiver. I texted again, frantically. "Wait, no, wrong person. Please ignore." Too late. 30 minutes later, the doorbell rings. It's Uncle Paul, holding a Bible, wearing a sweater vest, with Aunt Karen beside him, clutching a casserole dish and looking around like she expected him to break out. Chris opens the door and just stares. The other guys scramble to hide the drinks and the slightly risque cake. I'm in the kitchen, whisper praying to any deity that would listen. Angela showed up 10 minutes after they left. Never have I been so relieved to see someone wearing 6-inch heels and glitter. Chris still got a lap dance. Uncle Paul got concerned. So yeah, today I screwed up. On the bright side, Uncle Paul told me later he was just glad we weren't summoning demons. I didn't have the heart to tell him that the cake had boobs. Still not invited to the next family reunion. Fair. Today I screwed up by bleaching a $4,200 rug in an Airbnb. Let me preface this by saying I was trying to be helpful. That's important. I wasn't trying to destroy a centuries-old artifact with the cleaning instincts of a toddler. But alas, here we are. My girlfriend and I took a weekend trip to this cozy little Airbnb in upstate New York. Rustic vibes, fireplace, lots of live, laugh, love signs, real Instagram bait. The place was spotless. Like museum-level clean. Naturally, I decided to help out on our last day by tidying up a bit before checkout. Thought I'd be a good guest. I saw a bottle under the sink labeled Deep Clean for bathrooms and kitchens. Seemed legit. Sprayed some on the counters. Cool. Then I noticed a faint reddish stain on the living room rug. Barely noticeable, but I figured, hey, I can fix that too. Now, in my defense, the rug looked fine. It wasn't gold-threaded or anything. Just big. Persian style. Fancy pattern. I sprayed the cleaner, scrubbed it in with a sponge, and stood back proudly. And that's when the rug changed colors. Not subtly. Not gradually. Instantly. That spot went from classic burgundy to blinding snow white in seconds. And it kept spreading. I had created a bleach crater. Cue panic. I tried to blend it in with water. That made it worse. Dabbed it with a towel. Worse. Googled how to reverse bleach. Results, you can't. When my girlfriend walked in, she gasped and said, "What did you do?" I tried to spin it. I improved it. It's modern art now. She did not laugh. We left a note apologizing and offered to cover the damage. I even added a little "you're welcome for the cleaning," thinking maybe I could charm my way out of this. 2 days later, the Airbnb host emailed. Turns out the rug wasn't a Target clearance special. It was hand-woven in Iran, part of her grandmother's dowry, and appraised at $4,200. I Venmo'd what I could. Still making payments. So yeah, today I screwed up. I went from helpful boyfriend to rug reaper in under 3 minutes. Lesson learned, don't clean things that look expensive. Or honestly, don't clean anything ever again. Today I screwed up by giving a serious work presentation as a Snapchat dog. I work in a pretty chill tech company. We've got ping pong tables, kombucha on tap, and a dress code that's basically don't be nude. But once a month, we do an all-hands Zoom meeting with the execs, and that's when we have to pretend we're all functioning adults. Today was my turn to present. Not just any presentation, mind you, this was my project, my baby. I'd stayed up late crafting the perfect slides, rehearsing my points, even trimming my beard to look less mountain man and more employed. I log into the call a little early. Everything seems normal. Camera on, slides ready. Then my coworker messages me, "Nice touch with the filter, LOL." I glance at the tiny video thumbnail of myself, and there it is. I'm a dog. Not metaphorically. Not just tired. Like, actual Snapchat filter dog. Brown ears, twitching nose, giant tongue that lolls out every few seconds. My blood runs cold. I start clicking frantically through Zoom settings, Snapchat settings, the ether itself. Nothing works. Every time I talk, the tongue flies out like I'm trying to lick the screen. Worse, no one says anything. The CEO just nods politely as I talk about increased engagement metrics. My manager stares deadpan while I discuss quarterly growth as a tongue-wagging Labrador. Halfway through, I try to joke my way out. So, as you can see, I'm really doggedly pursuing these results. Silence. A cough. Someone finally unmutes and says, "We appreciate your enthusiasm, Max." Max. That's a dog's name. Eventually I finish. I close the presentation. I turn off my camera, hide under my desk, and contemplate life. Within 15 minutes, HR sends me a message. "Great presentation. Loved the energy." Attached is a meme someone made, smiley face. It's a screenshot of me, ears perked, tongue midair, with the caption, "Barking up the right KPI tree." So yeah, today I screwed up. I got rave reviews, but I know deep down that I'll never outrun my new nickname. At least they didn't throw me a bone during Q&A. Yet. Today I screwed up by getting a tattoo that says, steamed dumpling. In my defense, it was supposed to be deep. My girlfriend at the time was super into calligraphy and Chinese culture. She spoke fluent Mandarin and had even lived in Beijing for a year. I thought I'd impress her with something permanent, something meaningful. So naturally, I decided to get a tattoo. After hours of Googling, I landed on the word strength. Because, I'd been through stuff. Breakups, car accident. The time I ate expired yogurt and lived to tell the tale. I figured strength was vague enough to be cool, but still full of emotional gravitas. I found a design online with elegant Chinese characters. Didn't double-check. Didn't consult her. Just marched into a tattoo parlor and said, "Ink me up, sensei." Yeah. I called the tattoo artist sensei. Strike one. 3 hours later, I had it. Bold black characters across my upper arm. Felt like a warrior. Sent her a picture expecting fireworks. She replied, "Why did you tattoo steamed dumpling on your arm?" I thought she was joking. I replied, "LOL, shut up." She wasn't laughing. Turns out, the beautiful characters I found didn't mean strength. They meant Xiaolongbao, a specific kind of dumpling. Delicious, yes. Empowering? Not unless your life goal is to be devoured in soup. I didn't believe her at first, so she FaceTimed me, held up the same characters from a menu, and translated every single one. She even showed me a frozen dumpling package with my tattoo on it, right next to the nutrition label. We broke up a week later. Not because of the tattoo, allegedly, but I think the dumpling thing accelerated the decline. Now I get compliments from old ladies at dim sum restaurants and confused stares at the gym. One guy even asked if I was part of a foodie gang. So yeah, today I screwed up. I wanted to be strong. Instead, I became lunch. Today I screwed up by walking 3 dogs and achieving local fame for all the wrong reasons. It started with a favor. My neighbor, a lovely retired woman with a weakness for adopting rescue dogs, asked if I could walk her 3 little angels while she was at a doctor's appointment. She offered cookies. I said yes. Foolishly. The little angels in question were a jittery beagle, an elderly schnauzer with 0 depth perception, and a pit mix who looked like she could tow a car. I figured, how bad could it be? I'd never walked more than 1 dog at a time. Apparently, there's a reason. We make it 3 blocks before the trouble starts. A squirrel, a literal Disney-grade bushy-tailed acrobat, darts across the sidewalk. The pit mix locks eyes, the beagle lets out a war cry, and all 3 dogs surge forward like the running of the bulls. I hold on. Mistake number 1. They drag me. First a few feet, then across someone's lawn, then through a sprinkler. I look like a drowned rat clinging to 3 furry comets. We reach the park. I think, great. Open space. I'll just anchor myself by this tree. Mistake number 2. The pit mix sees a goose. A massive, pissed-off goose. She charges. I lose my grip, get tangled in the schnauzer's leash, trip over the beagle, and go down like a sack of potatoes. Directly into the park fountain. I pop up, soaked, choking, with 1 shoe missing, and the schnauzer perched triumphantly on my chest like he just conquered Everest. Kids are laughing. Parents are filming. One teenager shouts, "Yo, world star." Someone claps. Claps. I somehow round up the dogs, minus my dignity, and hobble home. My neighbor greets me with, "Oh dear, did it rain?" I just handed her the leashes and walked away like a man who's seen too much. So yeah, today I screwed up. My knees are scraped, my ego's bruised, and I'm now the unofficial star of a viral video titled "Dogs Sledding in June." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment telling us how you screwed up today. Misery loves hilarious company.